Hey everybody, welcome to TrailSage, and today I wanted to talk about my experience with YouTube memberships and why I ended up leaving and going over to a company like Patreon. If you're someone that is just about to get to that 1,000 subscriber mark and you reach the 4,000 watch hours and you're like, hey, do I do YouTube memberships? Or maybe you already have YouTube memberships and you're saying, hey, should I switch over to Patreon? I made the switch to turning on the YouTube memberships probably about a year ago, and I stuck with it for about 6 months. And the reason why I went with YouTube memberships was just around convenience and ease of use. You know, as someone that's been in production, I've always been told that, listen, the less clicks is always better, right? You don't want people to leave a page to go to another page. And so the way that membership works is you get a little join icon button at the bottom of your video, and it's really easy for your viewers and subscribers to just click that join button. And I thought, wow, that's pretty convenient. The other thought that I had was, well, most people that are on YouTube, because YouTube and Google are linked, you know, if you have a Google account, then you're already halfway there. You already have a login. And also, if you have a Google account, you might already also have a payment structure attached to that Google account, making the switch over to YouTube memberships that much easier. And lastly, I'll say, because Google is such a big company, I thought that maybe they would be pushing the memberships more and they would be developing it and making it better and better, you know, and part of that was, you know, some of the perks that they're able to offer. So why did I eventually leave memberships to go to Patreon? And it really comes down to money. This is embarrassing, but I remember getting to that cusp of reaching that 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 watch hours, and I was like, man, the ad revenue is I'm gonna monetize, and all this money from the ads is just gonna start pouring in. That's not the case. Embarrassingly, I'll tell you how much I make. I make about $100 a month on ads, and that's not a lot. For someone that's putting out one video, and I spend a lot of time making videos, putting out one video a week, you know, $100 a month, that's nothing. You know, you can't survive on that. So you have to figure out new ways to make revenue. And for me, the memberships was that. But for Google to take 30% of a cut, that was just too much. You know, like let's use, so if your membership is $1, they're taking 30 cents. If your membership is $10, they're taking $3. And listen, there's nothing wrong with making money, right? We're all here trying to make money. That's what it's all about. I can't fault Google for trying to make money. That's what they're gonna do, right? That's the world that we live in. But there's also no competition, right? Where else are you gonna go to get content, you know? And let me just say, I don't want to come off as ungrateful, because I am so grateful to be able to have a platform like this, to be able to reach people, not just locally, but, you know, around the world. That's not lost on me. But at the same time, you know, developing a button for membership isn't like anything new. You know, I'm sure that development hours went into that, but is it worth 30% of a cut? I don't know. For me, it felt kind of greedy to me. And being that Patreon only takes 8%, I just seemed a little bit more fair. And so let's talk about that. Let's talk about what that solution was. So for me, I found that Patreon was a really good solution. And there might be other companies out there like Patreon doing the same things. I'm just gonna speak to Patreon because that's what I use. And I'm not here to promote my own Patreon. I'm not gonna even list it. That's not the point of this video. Although I would love for you to join my Patreon, that's not the point of this video. However, I will say that because they only take 8%, that was a huge draw for me, you know? And as a creator, every dollar counts, you know? And so I started looking for other ways that I could supplement my income. And some other things that you can do is, if you find that some of your viewers don't want to make a monthly contribution, like maybe they watched a video and they just want to say, hey, can I just give you some cash, you know, just to say thank you, you know? And right now YouTube offers a super thanks. Again, they take a massive cut off of that super thanks. If someone donates, gives you a super thanks about $10, they're taking a massive cut of that $10. So I don't promote that on my channel. You know, I would much rather they go to a company like Buy Me a Coffee, you know, and they're able to donate there and I get a much bigger percentage of what they donate. You know, I forget what that percentage is. And again, you don't have to use Buy Me a Coffee. That's just what I use. There are other companies that do that. The point is, I promote that. I'd much rather they go over there to donate and say thank you, because I get a bigger percentage of that. The other thing that you can do is you can develop merch. Why not make hats, shirts, stickers, you name it, right? And that's another way that you can supplement your income. And by the way, you can attach that merch store to YouTube. So when you go to a video, you know, your merch gets listed under the video. Is that worth it? I don't know. I'm kind of experimenting with that. I don't know if it's worth it. That's probably a whole nother video. The point is, create an online store. That is a no-brainer. It's a great way to supplement your income. So let's conclude this with a concern that I had that maybe you have, and that is, if you already have memberships, will they switch over to Patreon? And again, your experience with this could be different, but my experience was most of the people that I had on the YouTube memberships made the switch over to Patreon. And the reason why is they care. You know, if someone cared enough to say, hey, I want to give you money every month because I value what you're bringing, they're most likely going to make that switch over to Patreon too. And did I get 100% transfer over? No, you know, there were a few people that didn't want to make that switch over, but because Patreon's only taking 8%, I was able to make up the difference for the few people that didn't want to make that transition. So in my experience, I found it worth it to move over to Patreon. So in conclusion, and this is where I will plug my Patreon, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you have any feedback or questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe, or hey, join me on Patreon for some extra perks. Thanks for watching.